Again to the Korematsu Semi-Weekly News. For this video, we'll have a riddle challenge with Yasmin, an interview segment with Yasmin, another interview with Mr. Better and Javin, and a pet parade with Iris. I hope you enjoy.
Alright, moving on to the riddle. The last episode answer was Mount Rushmore, and the winners were Alexandra, Julia, and Yasmin. And this month, our riddle comes from Yasmin, and it reads, I speak without a mouth, I hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with wind. What am I? Remember to send your response into my email address, mburnham@wccusd.net, or you can do it through the Google Classroom that I run. Good luck.
I'm going to ask you some questions now.
Okay, now Javin, can I be honest, or do you want me to sugarcoat stuff? Because I can play either way.
No, be honest.
Okay, go ahead.
But, like, don't say anything. Yeah, actually, yeah, just be honest. All right, so how do you feel about distance learning, and what transitions did you have to make like education work in distance learning?
Wow. Start off with a bang. Let's take the first part of your question. How do I feel about distance learning? I think some kids like it better because they can learn more at their own pace. I think some students are immediately crapped on because they don't have solid internet. They have a harder time learning in their homes for a bunch of different reasons. So I think ultimately, if it was continued, I would say, wow, this is really inequitable and some students are not being served. However, in-person learning also probably does that. So I feel a lot of different type of emotions. And then you said what kind of shifts or transitions needed to happen to get here. I had to continue building my knowledge of Zoom. Wow.
Yeah, especially the Zoom one is a pretty big one, but I also meant like along the ends of if you have like this lesson plan that you get from the curriculum or that you have in your teacher book or whatever I'll call it, like did you have to make like changes or adaptations to it to get it to work online? Like I know for science, Mr. Pohl had to make these like changes to the assignments where he would like give us a kit normally if we were in the room, but because of that he did have to make some changes. Did you have to do that too?
I think there were some behavior modifications. I think a lot of the times teachers go in with classroom management plans or responses to behavior. There really is nothing behavior-wise to look at anymore. We see period 7 has a lot of stuff going on in the chat. That's the only thing that has come up. So there's a lot less focus on student discipline. So that's completely taken out of the equation. I think you're having to make content, you're having to keep it interesting. I think the emotions of teaching to some black screens is getting to some teachers. So not seeing the students' faces, not ensuring that they're there, changes the ability to check in with kids. If I don't even know you're there, I can't tell if you're doing the work or if you're learning or if you're with me, how you're vibing, how you're feeling. So there's a lot of differences in student discipline. There's a lot of differences in checking whether students understand the material. And I think it has made me focus even more on what do kids want to learn and what's getting them interested and running with that direction. So I would say those are the 3 big differences.
Okay, totally. And then another thing I wanted to ask, which is a little bit on the same topic, is what are some advantages or disadvantages about distance learning? Like, let's start with advantages. What are some benefits of this? And I can go right ahead and say one. I get to wake up late.
Okay, great. So Javin, the students wake up late. I'm wondering if they just stay up later than they normally would, and then so I'm wondering if you get more sleep or if the clock just shifts. Sharing the screen is helpful, so that it's not an issue of whether kids are in the back of the room, in the front of the room. Every kid can see right there if I'm sharing my screen. Sound and technology usually work better than they did in the classrooms, so it's more likely that I can get a video going, the sound will be working, everything goes smoother. It's more likely to go smoothly. I like the ability to just share out a document and send it to your computers and say, here are a bunch of links, you pick what you want. So that things seem to be more at kids' fingertips, which is helpful. I love the breakout room so I can physically, it takes a lot in the classroom to physically move groups or to get kids. Sometimes kids are more begrudging to get used to groups or to sit where they're supposed to. So it takes that out of the equation. I can just plop you wherever you want and then pop in where I want to. So those are some advantages that I have noticed.
Totally. And then what are some disadvantages, things that don't really work in distance learning or that don't work as well, which you'd prefer in person?
I think kids dislike distance learning, which inherently is a problem. I think a lot of kids are recognizing that they would rather be in person. I would be excited for you to interview a kid to get that perspective. But if students who are the audience for our business known as education are saying we don't like it, then we should respond to that. So that's a disadvantage. I think internet connectivity along with me or the kids is problematic. If an internet is unstable, you can't have a live Zoom. I think also teachers have gone different directions in terms of doing more independent work versus more synchronous classes, which has allowed some kids to get confused over the expectations for learning across teachers. I think kids, if they've decided not to learn, it's a little bit harder to force or convince kids to come to class than it is to come to school. So we can physically get you to the school and probably get you to your classes. Now I've got 7 to 10% of kids out of the 240 I teach that do not come and are not going to come, and that's a problem.
Yeah, you can't physically control that, and while I mean parents could kind of control that during
But
school.
there are some that are working, right, and some that aren't there, and so there's a lot of different situations that I don't think distance learning takes into account.
Totally, I completely agree. And then another question I had for you, a little bit on a different topic now, is what are your thoughts about the Capitol building assault? I'll call it on January 6th.
Yes, that is going in a
you know,
different direction.
climbing up the walls and stuff, and like diving through windows. What are your thoughts about that?
I think we can expect our president to act a certain way. He acted the way we assumed he would. He poked people, he incited a fire, he lit the match. We can also expect people that are going to respond that follow him blindly to respond how they did. I think Trump and the people that were invading the Capitol responded and did what we thought they would. What I was very surprised by, which maybe I shouldn't have been, was the law enforcement at the Capitol that were letting people in, that were giving directions to people's office, that were taking selfies, that were stepping aside, that were not. So that I think is the bigger issue, is that we can have our president, we can have people in the community that are violent and creating chaos and rioting, but then you have to have the systems that fight against it, and those were not present. So we have a large problem that has been that I think was put on display against white rioters for the first time in my lifetime. It was the first time I saw that visual clearly. So that was a big problem that I still need to do more analyzing of.
Yeah, I mean the way that our president like reacted against the Black Lives Matter riots versus these riots, there's clearly it's pretty prominent, but let's not dive deeper into that right now. And then I have another kind of pretty generic question that pretty cliche, right? Why did you choose to become a teacher rather than being a construction worker or an architect or the other jobs? You know, like what was that appeal to you?
I think I don't think I knew it at the time. I was 21 and shifting my major from English and psychology to teaching. I think looking backwards, I really enjoy building relationships. I really enjoy the energy of moving around and constantly engaging with a bunch of different minds at once. I enjoy the unpredictability and the constant drama and chaos and excitement that comes with this career. I am very lucky with the principal and the community that I have, that I can choose a topic and attack it, and I will probably be supported. I think there's also probably an egotistical, selfish piece of me that wants to make an impact or wants to think that I have changed somebody. And I wonder how much of that also plays a role in my decision to be an educator.
Cool. Given that I'm in period 7, you totally had me at chaos. I mean, that sums up period 7. So yeah. So those are some pretty deep answers. I mean, I know a lot of people are like, I like teaching kind of thing, but that was pretty deep. So good job. And then another thing is, how do you like using Zoom? I mean, obviously no one likes it. But like, if there was one new feature you would like to add, what would it be? Like recently they added, there's share screen and chat and reaction buttons. What would you add if you could pick one new feature?
One thing that I really loved doing was the Socratic seminar, and I would like to do it differently in putting kids into breakout rooms and then being able to record their breakout room and see how students did in those breakout rooms. I can't do that right now, but now part of me also wonders if that's too invasive. And so I'm taking that back. I take back that answer. A new feature. You're gonna have to let me think because I need a good answer. I wish that students could put more emojis. I wish that I could have more emojis. Currently, I just have 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and that simply is not enough. So I would like a wider range of reactions that could showcase more emotions quicker. Totally.
That's a pretty good answer, because with these kind of emojis like thumbs up or party face, I mean you can't really communicate through those, and sometimes people aren't comfortable with face to face. Then another thing I have, as we start to sum it up a little bit, is what question do you have for viewers during distance learning? What is a message you'd like them to know?
Who are the viewers?
Your students. Your students who are watching this, what is a message you would tell them?
Don't just listen to me because I say something. I think you should question what I say. I think you should fight back. And I think you should really consider whether what a teacher is asking you to do is worth your time. And if not, you should be able to explain why you think it is inappropriate, and not in a sexual or weird way, but like inappropriate in that it won't help you grow, because that's what this time should be about, is you growing. So if what I'm asking you to do is not helping you grow, then you should say that, and you should maybe propose a different idea or push back on your educator.
Totally. And now, before we stop this and conclude this interview, thank you, Mr. Vetter. You're probably one of my favorite teachers. You greet us all by name and you help us grow. Not probably, definitely. Sorry, that didn't come out properly. But you always address us by name and are jumping for joy as we enter the room. So, thank you. And yeah, I hope we all take inspiration and really do the best in our world today. So, thank you so much.
You're absolutely welcome, John. And thank you for your time.
Cool. All right.
And we do need some help with photos for the yearbook. Since you're not on campus, we're not on campus, we need to find ways to get photos in our yearbook. So if you could send them to this bit.ly, it is also on the website, and we can get what you have in the yearbook. Thanks. All right, everybody, this is Mr. Burnham. I am officially signing off from my role in the weekly news. I am not able to deliver what I want to deliver each week this year. It's been a lot of work, more than I wanted or anticipated, but I am enjoying the work that I'm doing. Unfortunately, I just cannot spend as much time or much time at all working on the news. So I am handing it over to the capable news crew and Mr. Lee for the remainder of the school year. So you probably will see more news with them at the helm. Thank you.